Hello everyone, welcome to this new Mentalism live conversation. My name is Pablo Mira, founder of Mentalism Center and also the administrator of this fantastic Facebook group in which we are doing right now weekly. We don't know right now how many times can we do it weekly, but are we trying our best to offer you conversations with friends, creators, different people around the world that can add value for you as a mentalist. And today we have Steve Wachner, a fantastic performer, a creator, and a very nice guy. And Steve Wachner is watching now the video, and I will invite him so he can join us. So, wait, Steve. Adding Steve, let's see. He replies. Hello, Steve. Can you hear me? Not really, no, not very clear. Can you check what has happened? Dave Power says hi. Hello, Dave. Adrian Lochon is watching now. Please talk to me to check the sound.
Is this any better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better. A little with some delay, but far better. So let's see how it works. How are you, Steve?
You know what? I'm just gonna be honest, and I'm gonna say I'm a little nervous. I feel a little jittery.
That's fine. You need to be
Excited though.
conscious first, and then you can build it. And that's also a very nice
Yeah.
and honest vulnerability that you open, because a lot of people sometimes are very nervous when they perform mentally, right? And how about you in your experience? How do you deal with nervousness in performance, for example?
Well, honestly, the more I do with scripting and rehearsal, the better I feel about it. And yeah, the reason I bring it up is because it's been a while. It's been a while to feel that little like rattling in the chest. There was a quote that I remember, which was nervousness is your body bringing your energy level up to the point that you need to be for a performance. So it allowed me, I love that quote, and I kind of reflect on it, and it allows me to sort of accept and enjoy the nervousness, knowing that it's getting me to the point that I need to be.
Exactly.
Even if it's a total lie, even if it's a complete lie, a complete fabrication just to make me feel better, it was a little trick that I used to help out.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
sometimes you just got to jump into it.
Yeah, and as you said, if we have proper practice, if we have proper rehearsal, we did everything from our part in our responsibility to make the better. Now, each person is unique, right? And each person has different ways to deal with nervousness. And in my personal case, I don't suffer from nervousness, but sometimes, for example, I have a dry mouth. That's one of
Oh yeah.
physiological reply. And the simple solution is have water. As simple as that. And as you said, we need to embrace ourselves and know ourselves. Yeah, right. Of course, I have some wine, but it's kind of similar. So we need to know ourselves, and we need to go out our comfort zone, because if we feel nervous about being nervous, that's the worst thing. We need to just confront the
Oh yeah.
nervousness and just do it. And from the practice and from the feedback, from the failure, quote unquote, we can get a lot of more knowledge about our processes. And again, practice and rehearse is key. But thank you for let us know that you are a little bit nervous. It's fine. So everyone, Steve
Yeah, this
Washner.
is not a this is not a thing I get to practice of talking to what could be upwards. I think you have a thousand members on your group, so it's definitely yeah, I feel it is very exciting. But
Yeah, very exciting.
yeah, now I mean we I'm in it. I'm in it now and feel pretty good, and I'm excited to see what we get to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, and this is called conversation. I don't want to be an interviewer. I, I don't want to do. I just want to let the conversation flow, and anyone that is watching us live can just suggest anything. For example,
Oh, absolutely.
let's talk about your beginnings, Steve. How do you become interested in magic or in mentalism? What was your path?
There's uh there's like three stories, and I don't know which one came first, but I do know that the performer that got me into it, it's been really weird to hear lately. I talked to a lot of other performers, and I get so many of them that mention David Blaine as like their starting point,
Yeah.
and some even now mentioning Peter Turner as their starting point. Those two, absolutely amazing. They've transformed like my style and how I view the art form. But it's just so weird to me because they feel so recent. My guy was Lance Burton that got me into interested in this kind of stuff. Um, I so yeah, there's like three stories that I don't know which one exactly was my beginning. It was definitely somewhere in the like 7 to 10 year old range, and it was like finding a equal unequal rope trick in my great uncle's closet in his house. Um, I got a magic book for Christmas at my great grandmother Moore's, and somebody showed me a card trick at one of my other great uncles. So it's like one of those three. I think they kind of all kind of came together. They were like each little tiny sparks, and then like they kind of together created a bit more of a brush fire that got me started. Um, it's interesting because I hear a lot of people talk about how they got into magic first, and I always felt that I was in sort of both worlds from the beginning. Every book that I owned would have a mentalism section. Every video I watched, or every just about everything I had, there was mental stuff, and then there was also whatever kind of magic things. So I feel that I did both. Perhaps leaning more towards magic in the beginning, of course, but for me it's all magic. It's all magical. I've got a picture of me like performing a pendulum, which was for me it was just a 1 cent coin tied to a string because I mean it was real magic to me. Or practicing something from Dr. Q with the pulse. Don't not to get too far into that, but practicing that with my dad when he was still alive. It was I was really young at the time, so there's always some sort of mental flair to just about everything I ever did.
Yeah, yeah, and as you said, that's very true. Magic well performed is magical, and magic bad
Mhm.
performed is just a trick that is fun. Of course, sometimes it's not even fun, but we have different degrees, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I had a show a couple of weeks ago, and after the stuff I performed, the guests at the party, very expensive looking house, but all these like really like dressed nicely, like a full grown adult 50s, 40s. They're taking my cards and they're passing them around and they're doing the card trick that they know, and it's suddenly it's just all these guys performing the one card trick that they know to each other, and there's just this. To me, that's the real magic, is just connecting with all these other people and being able to be in a situation I wouldn't have been in without my performance skills and everything. So to see them all revert to like an 8-year-old level performing card tricks to each other was amazing. I loved
Yeah,
it. So yeah, there's always a place for every.
yeah, yeah, and it's very nice in your case to have the influence of Lance Burton as your inspiration because for me it sounds that you have a very great image to look at. Sometimes people that are interested in magic or in mentalism just look for the greatest trick in YouTube, and that's very sad because
Mhm.
not only they don't get the big picture about what is the complete craft, the complete art of mentalism, but also they are losing a lot of potential. Maybe they are the future of magic or mentalism, and they are losing because of bad sources.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's Yeah, YouTube wasn't a thing when I was starting up, but I don't think it was. God, I don't know how old YouTube is, or how old I am for that matter. But yeah, that was it was a worry of mine too that I was losing some of the nuances of effects because when I started, I you're kind of at the disposal of your parents of what they can buy you, and I didn't have like Corinda's 13 Steps to Mentalism. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know this world existed, that there was so many creators and everything. So it's taken the last couple years trying to go back to my roots basically, um, and try to sort of rebuild my foundation. But it's a bit of a give or take because it let me kind of have my own style too. So yeah, it's definitely worth it to look into as far back as far much of the base structure that you can in any sort of performance so that you can get the fuller picture. Otherwise, yeah, you'll know three tricks and that'll be it. If you get to that base structure, you can take the ideas from those three tricks and turn it into an entire act or an entire career.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, in a counter way, uh, if you master three effects and your goal is to just do those three effects in mastering, as Uri Geller, for example, as Bert Rees. Bert Rees
Absolutely.
just did one, right?
Absolutely.
And all depends in
Yes.
all depends in the goals really. If you have the goal of just doing that, just offering a mediumistic act or just offering a psychic act, and you just need a few effects, fine, but do it the best you can. So if you have a huge
I think
repertoire, it's not good. If you are trying to reach a lot of different powers in mentalism, most of the time you won't do it in a potent way and in a excellent way.
no, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would still come back to the more that you know about the basics, the further down that you can get, even if you're just performing two or three effects. I think that the more that you know about it, the better you're going to perform those two or three effects, or even one, like you said with Bert Rees, an absolute an idol of mine and part of. I tried to I attempted to create my variation of his effect for my recent book, and yeah, absolutely, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just down to a couple of slips of paper.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
One of the themes from the conversation will be your book. So for that reason, I add that Bert Rees reference. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, I love the because the first book was Edison notes, and so with the first book being Edison notes, I had this idea of a trick called the man who fooled Edison, because Bert Rees at one point did meet Edison, performed for him, and Edison believed that he had an as of yet undiscovered second sight or an ability to see through walls.
Yeah.
So it allowed me to kind of play off of the two books and be able to create sort of a, I don't know, like a weird world that the books existed in, and they're kind of like talking to each other. It's weird stuff, but um, yeah, I knew I needed to get that effect perfected as much as I could to put it into the new book as a callback to the original book.
Yeah, yeah, and I read it already, and I liked it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Yeah, very good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was a lot of work from a lot of people, but I will gladly take full credit. Um,
Well, at the end of the day,
that's
if anyone is doing this, the creative aspect of mentalist for ego is not a good business, right? Maybe we can be creator of author for the number public. In that way, we can have a lot of more attention and let our ego build up. But for this type of work, is really for creating more value, more content, express ourselves, and hopefully add something valuable for others, for other performers.
Yeah, if you're not trying to aim for those things, especially as a creator, there's really not a purpose to create, perhaps. I mean, that's a bit of a strong statement, so I want to water it down a little bit, but it's my first interview. I can't go that hard with everything. But yeah, if you're not trying to better the people that you're selling to and better the people that they perform to and better our art form as a whole, just maybe take a second to ask, like, why am I writing this into a book? Why am I putting this into a book and putting it out into the community?
Yeah.
And honestly, if you ask yourself those questions, better things will come from it as well.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, sometimes in my own experience, I try to rest, uh, and I can't. For me, the creative flow is part of my life in everything, music, in poetry, in mentalism, as a psychologist, as a person. So personally, for me, it's a life expression. And some people said that I release everything that I create, and that's the biggest lie ever, because I have so much ideas and material. And but the thing is, sometimes things just fit together and they form a complete value that I like to offer for others. Sometimes the ideas are just for me in
Yes.
my own notebooks and for my own work, but whenever I feel that I want to share the ideas because I feel that it's necessary and it would be fun for others, I do it. And I also feel that it's your way also, because you are not crazy in releasing everything that you perform. I know some routines of yours that you don't are releasing, but the the routines that I read,
No.
at least in your book, are fantastic. I love the photo one, the night in Rio.
Oh yeah, the postcard.
The postcard, yeah.
Yeah, that one may um I had gotten into Kenton Nepper's mind reading lessons, who I see Kenton commenting, and it warms my heart. I really appreciate it. I had gotten into Kenton Nepper's mind reading lessons, and the idea of offering something to the group came up. And I was on some road trip. I can't remember what it was, but it was the idea was just in my head to what am I going to do? What am I going to come up with for the lessons? And I had worked it out by the end of the road trip. It's the night flight to Rio, and I don't think I get to mention it in the book, and I feel bad about that, but because I just you forget stuff sometimes. It was based originally in a couple of Kenton effects of the double insinuated card prediction, one of my absolute favorite things, as well as something else, and I can't remember what it was, but I know there was more than one thing, and it was just that idea of, for those who don't know, the Night Flight to Rio, it's two postcards are sealed into opaque envelopes. The spectator is able to mix them up, choose whichever one they want. There's no like magician's force or anything. And then they're able to, you teach them to tap into their intuition, and they are able to reveal details on the postcard. And yeah, it's definitely a Kenton kind of thing, because there's not always a ta-da, but at the same time, I've never had somebody not go like not get it. Like they're still impressed by it. It's a good opening routine, or even something done on its own. But it can never outright fail.
Yeah,
It's just it can't. It's designed. It just can't outright fail.
yeah, yeah. And you know, for
Um,
me, that routine
but yeah.
can be a perfect connection between mentalism and a reading, because of the state
Oh,
of,
absolutely.
yeah, because the state of mind that you are eliciting from your participant is perfect for readings. And I don't want to go deeper in the explanation of why, but I know that you understand.
I think it's because it's something I'm trying to work on, where it's things that are technically methodless rather than maybe being propless or something. So it's
Yeah,
you get closer to like the real work by not having a true method. Not that this doesn't. This has a method, but it's you can only control your spectators and what they say so much.
exactly.
There's other elements that you get to control,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it does come down to very open free.
For me, those type of approaches are are very interesting to explore. It's like a pendulum, right? The pendulum in the external
Hmm.
artifact is what you are performing. So the artifact is as interesting as the phenomenon. And in your case, it's almost the same. Because again, I don't want to go deeper because we can maybe expose your routine, but all the certain techniques in from your part, and even the techniques from the participants, because the participant also needs to invest some aspects to make things work, right? And it's a very different approach
Yeah.
again that can be very potent as a bridge between classic mentalism, mind reading, predictions, and a reading which can be very powerful, and readings as a alleged art of mentalism again is a very powerful way to create
Yeah.
mystery. If that's your goal, to create an ambience of observations and explorations, that can be fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially oh, now there's a bunch of thoughts going through my head, but also there's my cat's on the table, so I'm trying to avoid him knocking the camera over. So I've got a couple of things going on at the same time. But yeah, I mean, with this kind of approach, there's no illusion to break for the really for the participant. So then it gets you right into the frame of mind that you need. Um, I've messed the trick up once and it still didn't mess up. And I don't really even know if you know the method. I mean, I could talk to somebody about this later, but yeah, I you'll never mess it up. Nobody else will mess this up. I don't know how I messed it up, but I messed it up once and it still caused nothing because it's just real. I mean, hi to
Yeah.
Lance.
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
say hi to
yeah.
everyone, but
It's a beautiful
like,
routine that, in a deeper level, teaches the reader, in your case, from your book, that mentalism and mysterious performance, mental performance, psychic performance, can be done in different ways, right? Because if we take the word deception as part of our paradigm of performance, we are losing a lot. Because in your case, or in pendulums work, or in subtle readings, or in various other routines, in mind reading, for example, when you are creating a connection with someone, you're creating a process of mind reading, you are not deceiving people.
yes.
You are really creating the reality of mind reading, and that's no deception. It's other thing that you have a method to
Yeah.
force to know whatever, but what is the external reality that you are reading minds, and those artifacts that you can share to other to create a more realistic experience, they are very enjoyable even for the participants, and they can grab those experiences as part of the magical experience. Because the worst thing is that when we are performing and we are not performing those beautiful moments, and people get bored and people start to think, oh, maybe this is a trick, or maybe that deck of cards has something, or maybe those envelopes have something, or that book has something. Because we need to be empathic with our audiences and understand that they are getting bored, they not having an interesting experience to grab, and we are the responsibles to offer those interesting experiences.
It essentially comes down to you need to be mind reading your audience to be aware of where they're standing at any moment. Uh, Ken will mention that you can just, as soon as you see somebody drift off, you read their mind in that moment and start to reveal the thoughts going through their head of, oh, I've seen this before. I mean, you, anything to get your audience back on track. But I like what Lance mentioned, which I think was something that's going through part of what you were saying too, where nobody wants to see a fake mind reader, is what Lance says.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I believe that even when we have deception involved in the things that we're doing, it's still sorry, there's a lot of people in my house.
Yeah.
There's even when we have deception involved in what we're doing, you still I still believe in the connection between individuals. Like for me, mind reading is just anytime one or more people share the same thought without saying it out loud. So however we get to it, that's mind reading to me, is just that connection between the people.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, for me, it's real. Even if I am doing tricks, I just try to have as few things breaking me from that reality as possible,
Yeah.
and as few false-looking props as possible, and as few methods to get in the way. I don't want to be thinking of methods throughout a routine. I want to be there and be present with the audience. Like you said, you need to, if your audience is getting bored, if you're trying to go all through these mental gymnastics in your head, and you're not able to keep track of your audience and they do get bored, you're not going to be able to fix it. So I try to
Yeah,
have as little breaking me from my inner reality as possible.
exactly. Yeah, at the end of the day, why they care? They pay you or they invite you to the event for you to show them the best method that you know or the propless method that you know, or they pay you to really entertain them. And you can entertain them with anything, right? And it's your labor to
You can entertain
take
them with
that method and
conversation.
make it work.
Yeah, you can entertain your audience without doing a trick. It's a nice little secret.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, we're definitely paid to do things, of course, but talk to the people that you're performing to at these shows and stuff. Find out why they're there. I mean, you can bring it back to some kind of trick or some kind of greater knowledge of just what brought you all together. Somebody had to create this event. Somebody had to mark it off and get the venue. The venue had to exist. The two of you had to decide to come there. Somebody had to hire you. Like it's an amazing thing, and you might as well explore it a little bit with the conversation. And then it's a free trick at that point. It's a free 3 to 5 minutes that you've eaten up and then brought back into perhaps the theme of your overall performance.
yeah, yeah. One of the questions that I always try to ask myself in any type of situation in which I am in front of people performing mentalism or doing workshops or doing talks, whatever of the things that I do, is a simple question: why me? Why I am the person that needs to be here? And that forced me to start to go deeper into my own personal value. And I invite everyone who is watching this or hearing this to really question that: why me? And it's not that you are not, it's that you are, but why you are there? Why is the why are you the person that needs to be in front of the audience performing mentalism? And maybe someone has your same repertoire, but why yourself? Why are you the person?
Ooh, it's a deep question too.
Well,
But yeah, it can bring up any questions that you ruminate on for a little bit can bring out amazing things. Even if you don't get to like the answer, if you, it's great to ask yourself these questions and just see where it goes. There's a few questions like that I have that I'm still asking over the course of years, and the answer kind of changes throughout the years and everything. But yeah, why are you the one why are you the one that's there?
yeah,
It's big because
yeah, maybe,
it brings to me
maybe,
like
maybe you arrive to the gig because you have a good agent. Okay, you have a good marketing, for example. Okay, you are there for that. But if
right.
yeah, but if we want to go deeper in the meaning and in the purpose of that, if you want, if you're not, just do it, whatever. But if you are interested in exploring those areas, really you can get a lot of excellence in your work and be the best of your own potential. Be present, be energetic, really caring about people. If you ask for a name of someone, really remember it, and let them be part of the show. Let them be the star of the show. Frame your routines as they are sending your thought, the predictions as if they are getting the information with the intuition. At the end, we also get focus and applauses or whatever, but people wants to feel loved, feel secure, feel that they can do it. And we have a wonderful opportunity in mentalism to let them do fantastic psychic phenomena or mental psychological phenomena. And I think that we need to be conscious about that we can create a wonderful experience for others, or we can be just a prick and be the great fantastic asymmetrical person that just reads thoughts and receives applauses. And I prefer the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. You never quite know what's going on in your audience's head, though. Still, people find, I mean, there needs to be something deeper for them to attach to. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I got like two thoughts in my head because one, I think I missed some of what you said because my connection started to die, but that's okay. Um, I don't know. I know I'm not alone in this next part though because I've performed to people, especially like kind of impromptu, where you're just sort of walking around the mall or something, and you decide to just go and do something to somebody, and they just say like, "Thank you, I really needed that." Like it's an amazing power that we have to be able to do any of this stuff to people because it can bring them out of a funk they were in that day or that week, and I think that does come down to questioning kind of why are you doing this and what you're trying to achieve out of it, and all the other self explorations. But then, as Lance mentions, it's also great for the business side of things. And I think you were bringing that up a little bit too, of just why did they book you, and you do need to ask yourself that so you know what you're marketing, what you're presenting, what's working, what's not working, and those are massively important aspects of the field because if you're not getting out there performing to people, you're not able to do any of the positive things we've been talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And personally, in
I
my
think
career as a performer and as a psychologist, facilitator of learnings, nowadays people are hiring me because of me, and that's very interesting. And I say that with pride, but not with a big attitude. And I try to be humble about that. But people really gets
yeah.
when someone has a unique value. And last week I had an event, a talk with various type of different disabled people. And I wrote an article, as a matter of fact, at Mentalism Center, and it was a very interesting experience because I really need to care about them. Obviously, because of their condition, personal condition, is sometimes it was a kind of difficult to communicate with them. So I really need to
Yeah.
get all my ego out. Sometimes I need to repeat some things of the talk, and well, I explained in the short content that I wrote yesterday that I performed for a blind person, and it was a beautiful experience. And I try to do it the best I can with the most compassion that I can, but at the same time, without watching this person like a poor guy, rather just focus on the potential of this person. And that was a great learning experience that I shared yesterday at the site. Do you have any similar experiences
I saw
in performing?
um yeah, I would think so. Not exactly quite the same. I know but I mean it's always amazing to perform to people that are of a like any kind of varied background. You're getting out further than just the people you grew up with or anything, and everybody has their own looks at things. Like there was one person I performed to. She might have been from Romania, I think, and it was at one of my old jobs. I performed metal bending to her, and she just went, "Oh, yep, of course, yeah, no, I know people that do that. You probably get headaches, right? You can't sleep well." And it's like, "Oh, okay." I remember doing many years ago an ambitious card to somebody from Japan, and they had a very different reaction to the effect. Rather than being like amazed every time the card came to the top, they would go, "Why?" And I was like, "You're right. I don't know why." So that took some exploration just from her reaction. I think she was still saying pretty much the same thing of like, "Why is that happening?" Like amazed, but
Yeah,
I took it in a different way and of just why is this happening? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And so I had to
fascinating.
like
Yeah,
re-explore the entire routine back. Yeah, it's always amazing to see just any other backgrounds and just how other people take what you do. And what you're saying with people hiring you for you, like that's an amazing feeling. It's great when you get either repeat bookings or people referring referring you. I've had it happen a few times recently where I've seen people that bought the first book of mine buying the second, and it's a really heartwarming thing because it's like, I mean, it's amazing, but also, yeah, repeat bookings and having people just excited to see you and they love you no matter what you do, and even if other people do similar tricks, it doesn't matter because it's you. We like you,
Exactly, yeah.
and yeah, but like you said, I while I do have a bit of an ego, I also have a very much higher ability of self-deprecation, so it keeps it all in check.
Yeah. Yeah. And related to that theme, I have an event in July, and as you said, it's a repeated booking in a workshop, not in a performance. But whenever I see fit, and most of the time I
Okay.
do it, I perform a little bit of mentalism as a metaphor during the workshop. And it's funny because my agent from this event uh, receives the feedback that the the boss, the leader in that association said, I want that young psychologist. I like him. And it was very strange and, well, very funny, also very, very cute. And last year, I did a teamwork workshop, team building workshop, and I did a routine for them. It's an unpublished one, but it was so surprising that I did that because I frame it as a game like part of the workshop, not as a mentalism routine. And I revealed the
Okay.
prediction. I and they get it as a real experience, and they thought that I was kind of a sidekick, and obviously I tried to buffer the experience and also focus into the workshop. But that also teach me the power of non-expectation, because I never create the expectation that I am a mind reader, I am a performer, I will do that. I just did it, and I let them to figure out what
Yeah.
happens. And you can do even that during performance. You don't need to explain; just do it and let them understand the reality that you present as they can.
Well, yeah, that was I mean, that was what made the things David Blaine do so amazing was that he wasn't coming up and I mean, sure there was a camera, but he wasn't coming up and saying like, I want to show you a magic trick. It was oftentimes tried to be brought down to a more realistic level with it being some sort of documentary or something. But yeah, anytime it's definitely something I still work on of trying to be a little less. Let me show you something,
Yeah,
and there I'm going to just to try and not do that as much.
yeah.
Um,
And you know,
but
we,
yeah,
we
the
can even
reactions to it are.
we can even inverse that. We can say the participant, "Can you show me something?" It could be fun,
That
right?
was my opening line in a video I did recently. I was like, "Do you have anything to show? No, just me. It's all on me. Okay."
Yeah.
But that was also because I started to feel that nerves again. So to break the ice, you just kind of go off script to where everybody's off script at that point.
Yeah, great. So now, Steve,
Oh,
going
a
a little.
great opening line though.
Sorry, what?
I was saying that's a great opening line though. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. It
do you have anything? Can you show
create
me
a
something?
lot of
You know
expectation.
any
Yeah.
bar backs?
Sorry, you said something.
I said a good opening line is just asking somebody if they know any bar bets. There's those
Yeah.
bar bets often use the same gimmicks and the same props that we use anyway of like a dollar bill or a coin or matches or like all of these things. So yeah, ask somebody if they know a bar bet. They'll show you if they know one, and then you can use the items in a, bit of a twisted way as you go into a mentalism routine, and they either don't know you went into a mentalism routine or they don't realize it until halfway through.
Nice. Nice. Good idea. Yeah. So, what is that bird?
The bird, yeah, there's two birds. I got them strictly for the Tesla files. I went really deep into character. Tesla loved pigeons. I hate pigeons. Um, I didn't get them for that reason. That was a joke. But one of them is named Pineapple. We went to get cat food one day and we left the store with a bird. Long story short, it took the course of 2 weeks. Um, and then once we had this green cheek pineapple conure named Pineapple, somebody else said, "My friend has another bird, another conure. Do you guys want it?" And so we got a second bird, and I did not expect to have birds again in my life, but here I love them. They're just really loud, and you can't tell them to shut up. So I'm sorry about that. It's kind of like when he had his interview, and he just had the little chirping from his smoke detector. So it's just kind of a common theme that's going to happen through the mentalism interviews.
Yeah, no problem. You know, I also have a
The
bird
other,
here. I have a duck.
you have a what?
A duck.
Oh, you have a duck. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so
Um,
Steve, going a little bit back in your history, how do you become interested in mentalism in a focused way? Now we know that you are a performer, you create mentalism, but what was your beginnings in mentalism, particularly?
when I got into what I would consider to be my like kind of full-blown mentalism, which again, it's always none of it's ever 100% in one direction or the other. I like Fraser Parker mentions it a few times of even a real magician that had real like psychic intuitive powers would still be able to do a card trick at times. Um, but I would say it was just I'm trying to think of the first real book it was. Some of it was just picking up little books from the grocery store, which was Are You Psychic? It was this little pamphlet that was just called Are You Psychic? There was another book that was from Time Life Books. It was called Visions and Prophecies. It talked about Nostradamus and all that stuff. And somewhere around 2002, I started picking up like cold reading books on top of these more like legitimate psychic kind of books. Um, Sometime shortly after that, I'm trying to think of when it would have been. It's somewhere between like 2004 and maybe like 2007. I got into my first book from Kenton Nepper, which might have been Luke Germain's Seven Deceptions, but maybe it wasn't. I really can't remember, but it was sometime in the 2004 to 2007 area that I started picking up Kentonism and Enchanted Evening and mind reading and just about every book he put out. Far as I knew, I owned everything. But I realize now I don't. Now that I'm in like his memberships, and he's releasing stuff each month in the memberships. There's so many things that show up where it's like I've never heard of this idea from you. Where is this coming from? So yeah, it was somewhere around there. It's been a while, and I feel that through compiling stuff for the books, I've been able to focus down even more to where some days I forget to even bring my deck of cards out of the house. I mean, how crazy is that? Uh,
Nice, nice. So you mentioned Kenton, and I know that it is a big inspiration, and you will be in Phoenix, right? In August?
that's what he's telling me.
Come on, come on.
Kenton has, as far as I can tell, he's predicting it. If you ask Kenton, yes, I will definitely be in Phoenix. If you ask my wife, I may or may not be in Phoenix. I am. Oh God, I see myself getting red from it too. Um, I'm doing everything I can. Ken Ken said like believe it and it becomes so, or say it and becomes so, and so I did, and then I ended up getting a show that does technically pay for the trip, but I could use the money for bills too. Performing is all I do. It's not exactly a glamorous lifestyle all the time. Ken's saying you will be there. He is
Yeah,
still in the chat
yeah,
there.
let's do it.
Yes, I will be there.
Yeah.
You will. Um,
See?
um, so yes, absolutely, 100%. I will be there. Of course.
Yeah, yeah, you will be there and you will
I
be
can see a lot
with me and others enjoying the Inner Sanctum gathering, right? And
what Alan Zane,
yeah, yeah,
right? That's insane.
yeah, fantastic guy, fantastic. So,
And it's your first time seeing Kenton. It's not my first time,
Yeah,
right? I want to be there to see you see
yeah,
Kenton.
yeah,
I want to see that.
yeah. No, it will be magical, man. It will be beautiful. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I can't miss it. Dude, Pete, if you show up, I'm moving to Phoenix right now. It's August 2nd to the 5th, is that
yeah,
right? By the way, Pete, I miss you. Hi.
from the 3rd to the 5th of August. Yeah, Peter, you need to go there.
3rd to the 5th.
Yeah.
I'm looking up cheaper tickets. That's why I'm looking at second.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, so Kenton is your inspiration, I assume, of course, but do you have other inspirations in mentalism?
I'm sorry, what was the
Do you
question?
have other inspirations in mentalism besides Kenton?
Well, I just have other inspirations in general. I think it's nice to have as varied of an interest as you can, and that of course actually comes from Kenton as well. The idea of looking at your own the people that you look up to, especially in other fields, and seeing what they bring out of you. Kenton, now I mean Pete's in the comments, so I gotta say Peter Turner is somebody I definitely look up to in performance. I mean, there's a lot of cool. There's a myth about him. You look at him and you know he's something interesting, and I mean the videos he makes are amazing. I've told him in a comment, YouTube comment before, just I would pay for him to send me a weekly teaser trailer. He doesn't have to teach me anything. Just send me a video once a week, and I'd be sold. Um, yeah, I have a lot of influences outside of magic and mentalism as well. Jay Sankey's another person, not mentalism related, but Jay Sankey's somebody that I obsessively bought everything about for the longest time as well. I love the comedy that he had, his simplicity in method, and his ability to. Sorry, I'm fanboying out of Turner being here, but yeah, his ability to come up with interesting plots. So yeah, I've always been a fan of anybody that has simpler uh, principles. It keeps you from, like I said earlier, getting caught up in the performance of
Yeah.
things. But outside of magic and mentalism, Beck is my biggest hero. He's a musician that defies genres and has been around for many, many years. A massive secret is that so many of the routines in my books are named after Beck lyrics or songs. So for those of you who've been going like, what in the world does Zatyricon or Cold Cuts and Candy or all this stuff, what does this mean? That's it. And I'm sorry. Night Flight to Rio, that's another one. Saint Vincent, another musician on stage. She's amazing. It's great to look at a variety of different performers because I mean, like you're a performer and you should definitely look into these other the other performing areas that get you excited
Exactly.
because they're getting you excited for a
Yeah,
reason.
exactly. Yeah, I'm watching with my couple, Phil Collins. We are crazy about Phil Collins. And yesterday we were watching a concert, old concert from the 90s. And it was beautiful because he enters the stage without a jacket, just t-shirt, start to sing. And during a moment, one person brings his jacket and puts the jacket, and it was a complete show, just that little detail, just putting the jacket, and everyone was clapping, having a fantastic time. And that makes me uh, like a reminder, we need to make everything as big as possible and just place on a jacket. It was a fantastic, entertaining moment.
That brings up something that I've thought a few times, reversing that. If you ever want to make something suddenly feels like you're dropping the act or suddenly feels like you're getting into something serious, rather than putting the jacket on, at that point, that's when you kind of stand up and you take the jacket off, and then kind of for me, it helps me sort of focus in on the next thing I'm going to do. But you kind of feel it, like the audience sort of feels it when you take off the jacket, like something is about to
Yeah,
happen, and it's without even saying, like you don't have to do the whole this might not work or something. Like if you take off your jacket, people are going to suddenly
yeah,
like if you make a show about it, but if the act of doing it, there's a reason it's happening, the old witch doctor effect and everything.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. For example,
but yeah,
Kenton
there's so much to learn from it.
Kenton teach us about taking off the rings, right?
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Shh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't tell
No,
any,
no, that's it.
anybody.
Yeah, but yeah,
Modern Miracles and Suggestion. Print it out. That page, just that page. I have that page printed out from Modern Miracles and Suggestion as a
it's
reminder.
so beautiful.
If you watch my Bent Scent trailer from years ago, the performance for Bent Scent, I made sure to add it into that. But that's all I'm going to say about
Yeah,
it. I love that so
yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. It's beautiful.
It made me sing for the longest time just so I could get off.
Yeah, yeah. So fantastic. We know a little more about you. That's the idea, and now we can focus about your book. Tell us about your book, your new book, how it became, and what is the stage right now for the book.
um, the So the first book is Edison Notes. The idea behind that was it was originally inspired by Luc Germain. He had an audio release that said to talk to dead people. I don't want to go too far into what he meant by it, but he meant talking to performers that have passed as a creative challenge. For me, I took it as near my house there is this place called the Greenfield Village and Henry Ford Museum. It was originally called the Edison Institute, and Lance will get to you in a second. It was originally called the Edison Institute. Henry Ford was a huge fan of Edison, a huge friend and everything. But Edison, there's a sign at that place that has a little quote from Edison where he tried to come up with a new minor invention every 10 days, a new major invention every 6 months. So I applied that to my creativity, my performance, my
Nice.
mentalism, and eventually created the book from that. Um, I now the new book, the current book, the Tesla Files, is just because it's a little nod to the Edison notes, but it's also implying that it's better in every single way, because most people consider Tesla to have been the real genius out of that. Granted, I still take a lot of inspiration from Edison as far as marketing goes. Some of you may have seen me blast everybody on Facebook with Tesla file pictures. So that was a little bit of the inspiration from Edison. However, I set these little rules for myself to not release. Basically, Edison Notes started maybe even 2 years before that. 2015, I was talking to Kenton about some of the ideas and about making it into a book. Um, so it took a couple years for Edison Notes. Tesla Files, I started it last July, and I knew I wasn't going to put it out until next summer. It's not that it took a year to make, it's that I was making sure I took a year to make it. I didn't want to rush anything. I didn't want to release something just for money. I am broke, I will admit that, but I'm not releasing it for the money. So I make these own rules to reel myself in. Um, and I wanted to also make sure that I had something that had multiple effects. I didn't want to release one effect for multiple reasons. So yeah, I wanted to make sure. Oh, thank you, Adrian. Yeah, so I got contributions from other people, yourself included. I, um, I that's also part of the Edison strategy of getting other people involved. It's funny that Edison Notes had no contributions. Tesla File packed with contributions. Tesla was his sole genius, but it is what it is. Yeah, so there's a lot of my favorite stuff that I was performing like years and years ago. Some stuff that started to come about through Edison Notes, and I held on to because they were either getting created like towards the end of Edison Notes or they didn't fit the flow of that book. Um, lot of different things going in. Music was another big thing with this book because with both books I kind of build the books up like an album. So I like to have a nice little flow. I don't want to have too many songs that sound the same in a row. I see Luca Volpe came in. I gave him a earlier version of the book, and there was a lot of like star sign stuff kind of all together in a row. And he kind of mentioned I like the writing, even though I don't really do star sign stuff or anagrams at least. Um, I still like this, so I made sure to kind of like spread the stuff
Yeah.
out, kind of include some extra variations. I also made a three-letter Spanish star sign anagram, if anyone's. interested. But that uh, so yeah, I mean, it was a labor of love, as Jacob Smith called it, and it's something. Yeah, like I said, I started back July 23rd of last year, and it's on pre-order right now, and it officially comes out July 10th, which is Tesla's birthday. And yeah, I don't know. Other than that, is there something that anyone wants to know about it necessarily, or
Well, maybe you can perform something, can you?
um, I'll perform this to kind of get an idea across. This is part of sort of a larger structure in the book. Um, and I'll get to that in a moment. Basically, what I'm going to do is let me test this out really quick to make sure that this works for people to, if they can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so this should work out. I'm going to I'll have you try this, Pablo, just to kind of show like sort of my creative process, I guess.
Okay.
I'm going to write down my pin number. My pin number. I've not said that in years. My pin. It's redundant to say pin. It's my nervousness coming in. I'm going to write down my pin. And of course, I'm going to help you out a little bit. Otherwise, it's a 1 in 10,000 chance that you'll get this right.
Yeah.
So I will help you out a little bit already and everything. So we're going to start with the first number. I'm going to have you get the first number in your head. There's a couple things to mention. This isn't really my pin. This is my bike lock number, my bike lock code. So it has nothing to do with me, and it's nothing. It's not like 9999. It's nothing repeating.
Okay.
So you can't just guess it by looking at me and going, he's weird or whatever. So
Oh, I was thinking about that, you know.
that's okay. Yeah. So just obviously get the first number in your head. And then I'm going to have you move over to the second number and just tell me, do you think the second number is higher or lower than the first?
Lower.
Lower by how many?
By 3.
By 3. So at this point, what are the first 2 digits you have in your head?
74.
74? Like I said, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my process. Those 2 are above 50, so maybe it makes sense the other 2 are below 50. Does that make sense? Okay, the only hint I'm going to give you is that the last 2 digits are both odd. So we're going to do them as a group. Get 2 digits in your head.
Okay. 35.
And what are they? 35. So what did you say? 7435?
Yeah.
We
Right.
have here
Right.
7435.
Beautiful.
Not bad. Very good, especially. I was going to say especially for a first time because I fell into my script, but not your first time. I know that. Obviously, all you did was mind read them, so that's not fair. So yeah, so that's a routine. It's usually done even quicker than that. I had a lot of byplay because me and Pablo know each other a bit. So it can be done even quicker than that. There's a full structure going on in a standard performance that I talk about, so that even if this doesn't work, you're still gaining information, you're still connecting with the spectator. There's still other things going on, and there's a full performance, a full video performance of both of these ideas, the full structure and the pop, lock, and beats reverse pin done. There's a full video performance that comes with the purchase of Tesla files, as well as video performances of a few other routines in the book. So yeah, it's I just wanted something that was done really quick, something where I can write my pin, set it down, and we're done. I don't have to mess with it. I could text it to somebody, and yeah, something where everybody is impressed in the audience, so the spectator performing too, as well as everyone around it.
Yeah.
What is it written on? I'm sorry, I don't know what Adrian's
I'd
saying.
like to know what font it is ingredient, because no, I think that your previous your show previously that is a tablet, right?
This is a boogie board. You can write stuff on
Yeah.
it. You push the button, and it goes away.
Nice.
This is because I write notes all the time, and I write them on napkins at Starbucks or whatever, and then I crumble the napkin up and I threw it away. And if there was ever something important, I would take a picture of the note.
Yeah.
So to save some napkins in the world, I bought a battery that will never ever like deteriorate and will destroy our environment just as bad.
Nice.
But it made me feel good for a few days.
You know, an idea about that
People are
I have in my wallet. I have a few scraps of paper in which I wrote ideas. And then if I want, I need to save the ideas, of course, but then I can use them for billets. So it looks very incidental.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful. Um,
Boogie board.
can I just say, just a sidebar, we have some of the absolute best minds in the business in the comments on this, and I am. Oh, hi, Dave. Dave just showed up. And I am I'm so thrilled and appreciative that you guys are here, and I hope can't wait for everyone else that comes in afterwards and sees the replay.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
at the end of the day, fame, and whatever is not that important. We are just passionate people about mentalism, right? And that's what connects us. That's the idea.
It's been an amazing experience chatting with so many of the other performers over the last couple of years now. I always tried to shy away from other performers. It was a really nervous thing of mine. So every amazing things have happened. It's such a wonderful community at times,
Yeah.
depending on how great the results are and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
Um, I never said anything. Um, yes, it's been a very opening and accepting an amazing community. A couple people I haven't seen come in that I haven't necessarily said hi to. Fraser Parker was the first person to ever just randomly send me a PDF, so I've always been thankful of that. He let me add in he let me I feel essentially rip off Memoria. I in my first book, Edison Notes, with a routine called Heartland Feeling. He didn't even I asked him if I could use I accidentally backtracked and recreated his effect on accident, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's fine." Um, and of course, every time I talk to Fraser since, I say the dumbest things possible. And luckily, he just doesn't respond to those. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, there's just so many people that have just been really great. Pablo, yourself included, Adrian, Lance, uh, Pete. I mean, good Lord, I owe Pete a bunch. Peter Turner is great, fantastic guy on top of being an amazing
Yeah,
performer. Kenton, insane. It's amazing how much he's just everything. I don't know. So I'm really appreciative of all of this and where I'm at and where we're all going. And that's why I was so glad to get so many contributions in the book because I wanted to show off some of these people who I think some of their stuff's been kind of lost in the shuffle. One of those, Corey White, he had a thing called Stardust that came out. I can't even remember how many years ago, but it's an amazing, awesome, really quick, simple, believable numerology to birth month thing. And he let me put that in Tesla files, and I'm massively appreciative. Me and Watkins have been coming up with a bunch of cool stuff based off like kind of that as a starting point and moving on with it. So yeah, Tesla files is like to me it's just like this collection of like all of my favorite stuff that I've done and then my favorite things from other people in the community, and it's gives me so much joy to see it on the table
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I'm just glad I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a beautiful book, and it's a beautiful thing that you are so thankful for a lot of people in the community, and it's a good thing to hear. As you said, we are a wonderful community at times, and other times can be a little rough, but
Yes.
yeah, can be a little rough. But if we stay with the positive and we're optimistic and we try to offer value, we just need to be on the bright side, right? Before we close this beautiful conversation, Steve, if you want to leave anyone who's watching this live or in the future, one simple idea that you want to share in this video, what do you want? One simple idea.
Uh, maybe that simple idea would be prepare your answers ahead of time. It really comes down to being yourself in every way possible, which does mean knowing yourself as much as you can in the moment so that you're able to express that outwards. People see it, they see when you're being genuine, they see when you're being sincere, and they attach to it, and they see themselves in that. And there's much smarter people than me who have said this before in much better ways, but if I only have one thing, that would be it. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you're not like hiding yourself in it. If you can find ways to sneak yourself into everything you do, um, that's going to take you farther than just about anything.
Exactly.
And people will be more thankful, more appreciative. They'll get more out of what you're doing if you're being true to yourself and releasing that to them as much as you can.
Yeah. And personally, I feel that you did exactly that in this interview. You just did your own self, you performed your routine, you talk about, as a matter of fact, you start the conversation with the notion that you were nervous. And that for me was a beautiful thing. And thank you, Steve, very much for your participation, for your interest in being here. And I hope that everyone can get value and inspiration for your words.
One thing with Lance, it's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or Out Cold with Zach Galifianakis. Either of those two, I'll watch them any day.
Yeah.
Ooh, no, not Eternal Sunshine. That makes me cry. It doesn't matter. Whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. So thanks everyone who watched this online. Thank you, Kenton. I know that I love you. Yeah. And have a beautiful day, everyone. So bye. Bye, Steve.
My buck.